Coming up on this edition of the Movie Podcast, I got three movies that are currently out right now. Two of them came out on streaming service, and the other one is out in theaters and very limited release and will be on. But is these any watchable or skip them? You're gonna find out.
Fucking go! Let's fucking go. Whoa.
Here I come.
Oh.
Here I come.
We will watch your career with great interest.
You are such a kid.
This is where the fun begins.
It's showtime. And here we go.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Movie Geek Podcast. I'm your host George T. And like the episode you saw yesterday, if you hadn't seen that one or didn't care to, go back and watch it. Also, like, subscribe, and comment. Either way. So, but we've got three movies that, are they watchable or should I skip them? Let's get into the titles here. We get This Is Not a Test, In the Blink of an Eye, and War Machine. Now, War Machine looked pretty interesting. In the Blink of an Eye looked interesting from the trailer. This Is Not a Test did not, but I still watched it anyway because I do like Olivia Holt. She's a pretty good actress, young actress. So I wanted to see this film. And how about we start there? This is not a test. This movie takes place during a zombie outbreak. We follow Sloane, played by Olivia Holt, and four of her fellow students that take shelter in a high school. Well, as predictable as most zombie apocalypse, we never understand how it starts. We also know that Sloane is wanting to kill herself because she doesn't feel like she is wanted or loved by anyone. Until the zombie apocalypse happens, and then she realizes that, she does have friends. However, these friends are dumb. We get high school kids that are trying to survive a zombie apocalypse. But they do a pretty good job staying in the school until they figure out that somebody broke in somehow, and then they figured out where they came in from. But as dumb teenagers would be, instead of fortifying the high school because it is the biggest thing and it's got plenty of food, they decide that they're going to try to make a run for it to go and find, loved ones. And of course, that doesn't go well, and we all know how that ends. So there is your review of that movie. Again, I cannot recommend this movie. It is just teenagers doing dumb things. Oh, sorry. Anyway, In the Blink of an Eye. All right, so three intersecting storylines spanning thousands of years explores the nature of life, love, hope, and connection. So, all right, so I thought this film was going to be very interesting in the fact that we're telling three different era stories. We're the cavemen, and then we've got modern times, and then the future. Kate McKinnon plays Coakley, who is an astronaut for the future. Rashida Jones plays Claire from modern time, and I forgot who plays the cave woman in this film. But they only interconnect by occupation and trying to tell a story. So this is super ambitious, and I just feel like it just feels flat. You've got Claire, who is kind of emotionally shut off. Her mom is dying, and she just doesn't do well um, with people. She is a archaeologist who finds the bones of these cave women, the cave people back in the day, which we saw earlier in the clip. So again, there is that kind of parallel where she's trying to reimagine that whole thing while we see how they were living. But then we get Kate McKinnon, Coakley, on the spaceship, and she is the only one on the spaceship. And she is going to a new world where she is going to basically microwave kids to um, accelerate a growth in the human population. Yes, you heard me right. So they have these incubated um, sacks, and they basically throw them in this heated-looking microwave, and all of a sudden, a child just appears, and it grows, and they grow into strong children. Now, this also has a story about life and how short it is, and how can we create life to live longer. So obviously with the cave people, they couldn't really do that. Claire eventually finds a man, has a child. Um, Later on, the child, the son grows up to be this fantastic doctor who finds the genetic code to somewhat of immortality, living longer. Um, but ultimately, in the end, Claire and her husband decide not to become, long term through this stuff that their son did. Kind of odd. However, we do see Coakley, who is one of these humans. So um, they the interesting part of that is when we see these kids grow up on this ship. Um, some of them have that genetic code and some don't. So there is a point in the movie where one of the kids dies and Coakley doesn't look like she aged any, even though these kids either rapidly uh, grew up or we're just looking at it the wrong way. So again, there were trying to tell three different stories to try to lineage everything, but I think it just got disconnected because of all the jumping around and really not connecting the three together. So Hulu, you missed the mark on this one, I think. Um, so I wouldn't recommend it. Finally, we get War Machine from Netflix. All right. So when I previewed this, I basically said this was Battleship on land, and it's exactly how it went. But if you're looking for good action, this is probably a good movie for you. And again, it is action filled. But let's get into it. During the final stages of U.S. Army Ranger selection, an elite team's training exercise turns into a fight for survival against an unimaginable threat. So, Alan Richardson plays 81. That's his name in this film because he doesn't want to use his name. Because in the opening scene, his convoy, uh, when he was in the Marines, uh, gets snuffed out on a mission, actually heading back to base. Actually, he winds up carrying his brother almost to the entire base, and then we see 81 basically wanting to become a ranger because he had gotten discharged from the Marines, but he still wanted to fight and be, the war machine basically. Um, Dennis Quaid plays Sheridan. He is the leader the um, Army Rangers, and really just kind of doesn't like him, doesn't want him to be in there, and he knows that he has served his time. He doesn't know why he wants to be a ranger so bad, but they try to force him out, and he doesn't take it. And I figured, okay, cut him, end of the movie. But we need to make a movie, so of course they're gonna keep him, even though they try to force him out. Now, the rest of the Rangers that get picked, none of them are interesting. The acting is somewhat terrible, and some of the some of the lines in the movie are just like, who wrote this? So, but anyway, they go out for a training exercise. There is down planes, and they give them the locations. They have to get in and secure them and get out. Well, they wind up stumbling upon this different looking machine. So they're like, what kind of weird plane is this? And 81 is scouting around the area and finds the actual wreckage, but it's too late. Once they activate the um, the machine that they're in front of, um, basically think of Battleship, where they lock on target and literally just go. And this thing does run around, chases them around, tries to kill them all. Ultimately, 81 is such a badass, he takes them all out. So my question in this movie is, while there is the training exercise going on, where are the rest of the Rangers or the Marines or anyone to help these people? They're clearly getting annihilated out there by this just machine-like killer, and they're not there. And he finally reaches the end line for the Rangers. Um, when he gets back, they tell him, "Hey, we know you were out there. Now we know how to defeat them. We're gonna need your intel and so on, and then we're gonna beat them all." And I'm like, "Well, you couldn't have saved him a little while ago, and we could have sped this process up a little bit, and then you guys could have taken out the rest of them instead of leading us to maybe a sequel, because that's where it's headed." Because 81, who is dead tired, beaten, bloodied up, decides to take on the mission, going back out there to try to stop the rest of them. Yeah. But again, if you like it, good action, it is definitely there. If you liked Battleship, then you will like this movie. But I can't really recommend any of these films. So this is why I did not do long reviews like I normally would for movies. I have been toying with the idea of doing it, but then it's just too long to do all, considering I've watched almost 100 movies already this year, and I can't review everything. It's just not enough time. So I wanted to throw together 3 movies that didn't really make sense to me, and probably won't make sense to you unless you've seen them already. And if you've seen them already, let me know how you feel about them. If you agree with me that they're unwatchable, or you have something to comment on, feel free to do so. I'm always interacting with people. So, all right, that is all for now. Look for more stuff, trailer review, trailer reactions, shorts, you name it. Next week's box office report. If you hadn't seen box office report on Wednesday, go back and see it. Box office report is every Wednesday. I'll see you all at the movies.
You like that, baby? Let him know where I came from, yeah!
See you next time. Bye.
Waiting for you. Goodbye. 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 Hasta la vista, baby.
That's all, folks.